Hello there, welcome to this week's tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you how to add a view counter into your WIX dynamic page. So right here we have a view counter with 7 views for this particular item. As you can see, this is a dynamic link. So when I go ahead to refresh this page, this is 7, and let's take a look at what it's going to be. Now it's 8. So I'm going to show you how to set this up. So what I want to do is to save this number in the database, and each time a user visits this page, it's going to be increased by 1, and if they refresh the page or visit the tab or visit the page in a different tab, it's going to be increased by 1. All right, so before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also turn on the bell notification to be notified of future videos. All right, so let's get started. Now this is my editor, and this is a dynamic page, which is a title page right over here. And what I want to do is to set up the eye icon and then the number or the text to display the number of views. So I'm going to go ahead first of all to duplicate these text elements, and then I'm going to use this text element to show the number of views. So it's a connected item, so I'm going to go ahead to remove the connection, and I'm going to set the initial text to 0. Now when the page loads, it's going to show 0 first, and then it's going to show the total number of views, or if that is the case. All right, so I'm going to align that later when I have added the eye icons. So let's add the eye icon by going to decoratives and then icons. So I'm going to go to more icons. So over here in the eye icons, I'm going to go ahead to search for eye, and there are tons of eye icons that you can use. So I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to add that to the page. And now it's been added to the page. I'm going to resize that a little bit to context to what the text I have, and then I'm also going to change the color to the same theme that I'm using. So that is great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to group them together. I'm going to hold my control and then click on the text, and I'm going to group these elements. So I'm going to now go ahead to center that to the page. Now it's all centered and it's looking good, as similar to what we have here. Now since the content is going to be saved in our database, that means we're going to be using our dataset. And when you go to click on your dataset and go to settings, you're going to see that this is a read-only mode dataset, but we want to change that to read and write. This way anyone can go ahead to save once they reload or refresh the page. Okay, so now this part is all set, and next thing we want to try out or do is to create a field in our database that is going to save the views. So I'm going to go over to the content manager, and here over here at the manage content, I'm going to go to the collection that I'm using to display my dynamic content. So I'm going to go over to Tor. All right, so here in my database, I'm going to go ahead to create a new field, and this is the field that will hold or display the number of views that I have. So I'm going to call this page page view. Okay, so this is going to be the page view, and the field type is going to be a number field. Okay, so we're going to go ahead to click on save, and that is all set for this part. Okay, so the next thing I want to try out is to make sure that anyone can actually save content into this database. Okay, so the first thing, if you click on these 3 dots and then go to collection settings, if you go to the additional settings, you can see the collection permission is set to site content. So this means that anyone can view data from this collection, but no one can actually save content. And what we want to do is that we want to save the data we want to allow everyone to save data. So scroll down until you find the custom use, and we're going to change the custom permissions and set it so that anyone can read it, anyone can create, anyone can update, and anyone can also delete. So now save all changes. Now that is all set, and the next thing that we want to do is to add the code to make this functional. So I've left a link in the description below to link this code. So I'm going to go ahead to copy this code into the website. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and then to add a code to your website, you're going to go ahead onto the dev mode right over here and turn on dev mode. Once you turn that on, this is going to pop up, and you're going to go ahead to expand or maximize your code panel, then paste in your code, and that is it. All right, so you can see we have a few errors, and we're going to fix these errors very quickly and very fast. So we have dataset ID. So once you click on that, it's going to highlight everywhere else it's been used. So we're going to go into the website to look for our dataset, and this dataset is the dataset that Wix automatically added to your dynamic page when you created it the first time. So what you do is you click on it, and then you go back into your code panel, and here in the properties panel you can find the ID. So this is the ID we're going to replace all this with. So to make this very quickly and make it very efficient, just copy any one of the IDs of the dataset IDs that we already have, and then click and hold Ctrl and then F. So Ctrl F will find this ID dataset. It will automatically copy it onto this part. As you can see, we only have 5 parts that we need to replace. Then the next thing here is you need to place in the correct dataset ID from your dynamic page, which is the dynamic dataset. So paste it into the replace field, and then click on this icon right here. So once you click on this, it's going to replace it everywhere in the code. Now you can see we only have one more error, and that is the text error. This is the text that displays the number of views. And what we want to do right now is we want to go back to the page, and right over here we have our text, and it's called text 18. I want to change this text to view counter. So I want to change it to view counter, and I'm going to go ahead to copy this, and I want to replace it right over here. Oh great, now we do not have any errors on our code. And the last thing that's left for us is to change the field key. So we have 3 places, actually 3 places. This is supposed to also be a field key, and we need to change the field key here, here, and here. So you can go ahead to highlight only one of it, and then you can see that it's displayed in 3 places. So the field key can be found in your database collection, the new field we have just created. So I'm going to head back into my database collection, and I'm going to go ahead to retrieve the field key of this new field that I have just created. So click on that, and then under the properties, you're going to copy this ID or the field key. Once you're done with that, you're going to head back into your code, and what you're going to do is to replace the field key here, here, and here. All right, so now we're done with everything for the code. The code is ready to go, and before we actually test this out, I want to quickly explain what these functions do. Okay, so here we have the function called the view event, and what this function does is that it actually adds up any value you have in your database. So after we test this, I'm going to show you how the database looks like, and I'm going to show you what happens each time that you reload a page or visit the website or that particular page. Okay, so we're using our dataset get current item to get the actual current item that the user is on. So for example, the current item here is the Machu Picchu, Peru, and that is actually a content or a data in my collection. So it's going to get the current item, and then it's going to get the current item's page view. So it's going to get the number of views that that current item has, and it's going to add a +1 to it. And then next is going to set the field value. So it's going to set the field value to only that particular field alone, which is the current items field. All right, so once it's done that, it's going to allow the dataset to save. The dataset function, which is the save function, is going to be saved. And then finally we have this section. This is the section that actually displays the content on the page. So we're using this text to display all of this. Now we can see that this kind of looks weird. We have a format view. The format view is a function which is right over here, and the only purpose of this is that each time, let's say for example, you keep refreshing until you reach like 1000 or 2000 views. We don't want to show all the 1000 with all the zeros, or 2000 with all the zeros, or 1500 with all the zeros. So what you want to do is to make it display as 1K or 2K or 3K or 5K and so on. And if you have like 1 million views, which is right over here, it's going to be displayed as 1M or 2M for 2 million and so on. And same thing for the billion as well. So you can go ahead to add more and check out how this looks, and then add more to it if you think you're gonna have more than a billion views. Okay, so that is what this function does. And finally, this function, which is in the middle, what this function does is each time you reload your page, is going to call the view event function, which is right over here. So it's going to call that we're using the set timeout to call it in 100 milliseconds, which is really fast. Okay, so each time you reload your page, it's going to go ahead to save this content very quickly and also display it at the same time. Okay, so that is what the code does. So we're going to go ahead to test this out. So let's publish this, and then we're going to save and go to the live site. If you're enjoying this tutorial so far, I have another tutorial on how to add a comment section into your WIX dynamic page. You can do it to check it out. All right, so now we're all done. I'm going to go back to the tour pages, and I'm going to go ahead to refresh this page. So this is the same website, and what we need to do is to check any of these. So let's go with the first one, which is the Machu Picchu, Peru. So let's go read more, and let's see what the view actually says. So for the first time, nothing is displayed, but when we refresh the page or revisit the page, or someone else revisits the page the second time, that is when something is going to be displayed. Now you can see that we have 1. When we head back into our collection to see how this value has been saved, then you're going to see that we have a 1 here. Okay, this is for the Machu Picchu, Peru, and you can see that the page views, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you can see that the page views is 1. And when we refresh the page, let's go ahead to refresh the page. All right, so you're going to see that this is 2. And if you go back, let's go back and then back into the data collection. Now you can see that we have 2. All right, then I want to show you something real quick, and we're going to go back to the tour, and let's check other examples. This is in Kenya. Now let's take a look at how this is displayed. Now nothing is displayed at first, but when we refresh the page or somebody revisits the page, then the counter is going to resume. Okay, so we're going to also do the same thing and check it out how it's been displayed for Kenya. Now we have Kenya over here. You can see it's 1. Now I want to check something. I want to make this one 1000 views. Okay, once you do that, it's going to save automatically. So let's assume that that is going to work. When we refresh this page, it's going to be saved as 1K. Okay, so this is the reason why I added the function format view. I guess that is what it is. Yes, format view. So that is what this function does. It just makes it easier and more professional to have it displayed as 1K than as 1000 views. So I want to also, let's test out the million. Let's test how the million is and see if the million actually works as well. So you can see when I refresh the page, it's also going to continue incrementing. Okay, so let's make this million. All right, is that million already? Yes, it is. So let's go ahead to refresh this page and let's see how that works. Now you can see that we have 1 million views. Okay, so this is how you add a page counter or view counter into your WIX dynamic page. I have always wanted this feature and it's finally here, and I wanted to share with you guys. If you really did appreciate this video, please do well to subscribe to my channel and also give this video a thumbs up. And I'm going to continue bringing out very awesome videos like this, so you can also turn on your bell notification to be the first to know when a video like this comes up. You can check out my other videos. I have amazing videos on multi-step forms and also on how to add a comment section into your WIX dynamic page. So thank you very much. You guys are awesome. You're great, and I will see you in the next video.